Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. And greetings, blessings, salutations, and love. Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott, here to share a little bit of time, a little bit of inspiration, hopefully some encouragement, joy, and above all, some peace with you, all of you. Blessings to all of you who've stopped in already, shared your comments, shared your support, your hellos. Thank you. Thank you to all of you who may tune in at a later time as well. Today, again, I'm still undecided as far as where the format and what's going to go, but I'm going to live the life I've been living and learning to go with the flow, trying to gauge by the energies, by the feelings within myself. Where do I turn? What do I do now? So starting out, I'm sincerely inspired again today. I want to share some ideas that I've been allowed to receive today. Let me get through this first. The thumbnail from the scripture out of the Psalms. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. I wish I could have the confidence for never be shaken, but I know that I shake much less than I used to, because truly my soul finds rest in God. And I know I have found in myself, in my own development, I know God as the truth. Rest in what is true. Rest in what is true. Acceptance of what is true can bring forth the rewards of peace, joy, greater wisdom, life, love. That's what we're here for. We're not here for fears and regrets and shame and competition and punishment and retribution. We are here to grow, to discover, to become greater than we were before. And brothers and sisters, today, I am inspired. My pause before I went to the thumbnail was an observation of myself, I guess an admission. You know, for those who tune in, who've been a part of the Talcottian adventure, let's call it what it is. This is a little bit churchy, right? Sunday afternoon, and much of my conversations on many days are all about God. So I realize sometimes I come across as a little bit preachy, but I'm not trying to preach to anyone. I am trying to offer forth some ideas, some things that have truly helped me. This morning, where I'm at here in Spokane, it's an amazing place where we live. Where I live. I was thinking about it. I think it was 106 last few minutes when I checked. It's a good hot day today. And Mother Earth is so beautiful, so amazing. The diversity and the way things change. Just here where I am. I've lived in many parts of the U.S. I've lived here in Washington for many, many years. And I love that there's 4 seasons. And I know there's people like you and me, they've never experienced snow. Maybe you're one of those. Where I live, it's like for a little period each year, we get maybe a week or two, we get up over 100 degrees. And then in the wintertime, we get a week or two where we get below 0. So the diversity and the change, life, that's what life is about. So I don't know why I started that. I guess just an observation on my day. Sorry. Earlier today, though, I ventured out, went to a church service again, and just inspired by the nature, inspired by the technology, the comfort, right? I invite each day, I renew myself, recommit myself with prayer, meditation, devotion to God. I humble Jack, and I invite in the Spirit of Christ to join me, to walk with me. And so today, driving to church with the Spirit of Christ in my mind, and with me, I was like, look, Jesus, look at this world that we have created. Look at this world, the bridges, the safety, the comfort, the music, and then I'm thinking back to his life, walking town to town, that's the most effective mode of communication, means of communication, or else, of course, the boats. So today I was inspired again by the simplicity and the complexity, by the beauty, the power, the glory of God in all that I get to see. And that was my prayer today too. Thank you, God. Thank you for allowing me to open my eyes to see this world that you've created for us. The sight of the mind, that's where the peace and the knowing is found, right? So what I realized by the beauty, by the diversity, by the glory of the day and the beauty of nature and the power of everything that is life, I realize God is. And just think about the concept, right? Omniscient, all powerful, ever present, the eternal beingness. Eternal is beyond time. It's beyond the limits of our perspective of time and life. God is. We are a part of that which is. Okay, so if God is and we are a part, all of us, we are all a part of that which is. That means that God's presence is. It's for us to find. It's for us to know. It's for us to discover. Okay, so if you can play with these concepts of God is and we are a part of all that is, well, all that is in form and reality, it is the living truth. And this is in line with what the scriptures talk about. The living truth. Our God is for the living. Our God is everything we might know. So if we become one with God, then we become one with that which is. And that which is, from our individual perspective, is only known as now. So if you can become one with that which is now, realize that now is all a part of you. And you are all of now. By aligning ourselves with that which is, we become a part of the living truth, becoming an honest witness of life. See, and then I was thinking, well, we do live in a world of corruption and deception and lies, distortions, manipulation, exploitation, extortion. That's how profits are created. And it's through the profiting of individuals, right? Feeding the selfishness, enabling the selfishness. That's where the misery of the world is created. The misery of the world is created through the distortions and the corruptions that are found within the human minds. Part of this inspiration today is coming from some of the discussion we had yesterday on the stream. One of the guests here had some doubts about God. And I understand having doubts about God. It feels better to doubt yourself than God, though. Because I'd rather trust in God and doubt myself than doubt God and trust myself. I did that a lot in my past. I used to trust only me, no one else. Why? Because I knew we lived in a world of liars. But the problem was my distrust was very selfish of me, because when we distrust, what we do is we place our judgment, our limited experience, above the truth, as though we have some sort of jurisdiction over what the world reveals to us. It's really kind of foolish when you stop and think about it. Something I found, though, for myself, humbling myself to that which is true, I found freedom from my resistance to that which is true, freedom from my conflicts to that which is true. I found freedom from my confusion by accepting the limits of my knowledge and accepting what I could find to be true. So part of the laws of exchange in this realm that we live in, not only are there like physical laws of exchange, such as inertia, the chemical reactions, the energy, um, the formulas and the processes of energetic exchange. Anything, we cannot share that which we do not receive, right? And if you're not aware of something, have you actually received it? If you don't know of something, have you received it? No. If it's not in your cognitive awareness, you may not realize what you've got. And this is what I found for myself, and I trust this is what's commonplace in this world we coexist within. Many people don't realize the treasures that they contain within themselves. They don't appreciate who they've become or what they are becoming, because the world hasn't shown them what they can achieve. It's just shown them, well, what not to do many times. I found myself finding freedom in my mind and in my heart through acceptance, by the willingness to seek to know, right? I did want to resolve the conflicts within myself. And so I allowed my mind to open, even with a little doubt. Um, where my mind is going there, it's the way our minds in this reality works, and I trust this is God's design. It's always present. The answers are there, the truth is there, the love is there, the joy is there, the beauty is there, the good is there to be found by those who seek. Now, if those with the freedom of choice and the ability to choose, those who don't seek don't find. Well, not often. I mean, there's mysteries to life and exceptions to all things, but another inspiration I heard elsewhere is kind of an observation of the times we're sharing today. The in this unique time of human history here on Earth, there's some substantial and major changes that are happening. By choice, not by choice, just happening. One of the things I heard today, I believe is true. I believe the Lord, our God, is pouring the Spirit out. The Spirit is coming out in many, many, many people today. The Spirit of truth, the spirit of anger, the spirit of corruption. There's all sorts of spirits in this world. what I inspired by one of the songs of praise at church today. I don't remember the exact words, but it was in the context of invite the Spirit in, right? Invite, which spirit are you inviting in to you for you to walk with in the day? It's true. I've humbled myself that there's a purpose and a reason, and there's a perfection found within the history that we've been given. Even though there's a lot of mysteries and a lot of corruption in the history that's been taught to us, everything is there for us to find. The reason I bring that up is Jesus. You know, I've noticed in myself the reluctance to really point to Jesus and the Bible because I didn't want to select out one religion, right? But there's a reason for all of this. I trust in that. I trust that that story was given to mankind, the story of Jesus, and it was passed down through all the generations. And there's been all these wars, and all the missionaries have spread through the world to share the stories. It's part of a greater plan, right? As Jesus was, according to his words, and I believe what was recorded, it makes sense. It's truthful, it's beautiful, it's powerful. His life was to glorify God. His life, death, and resurrection was for the glorification of the Father. That's what he said, and it's the truth. So, what is your life for? I've chosen within myself, and I don't know if I trust God will reveal the results. But my prayer is to live a life that glorifies that of Jesus for the purposes of glorifying our Father, our Creator, the one true divine source of all that is true, all that is beautiful, all that is good. You can do that too. Can you imagine a world where men and women were not competing for dollars, we're not competing for attention, but we're competing with each other to see who could provide greater service to the world, who could make a bigger impact in their community? Where I live here in Spokane, we got some heroes, man. I've been blessed to discover some of the hometown heroes, and there's some men and women in this town. They're putting some people like me to shame. You know, at least that's how I feel, because they're out there really making a difference in the service of what's happening in this world. My path has brought me to here, and I'm doing what I can to share what I've found helpful and what I trust is the truth. If you want to live a life where you can realize your part in the truth, humble yourself to that fact. I am a part of the living truth that our God has created. I am a part of this time here on earth, not just here, but I am a part of the world, because we are. There's no separation from me, you, and anyone else alive here on earth right now. There's also no separation between anyone here on earth alive at this time and our Creator, the source of life, the source of all that is good, all that is beautiful, all that is divine and true. There's no separation. So each day, especially at this time, I mean, hey, everything's happening. We had a full moon last night too. So there's the full moon energies, which means it's time to maybe bring to light that which was hidden in the darkness. Maybe it's time for us to step out a little bit braver, seeking a greater relationship with that which is true. In this world we live in, there is a lot of corruption. There's a lot of torment and trauma and just unhealed people in this world. But we all have the opportunity to choose. How do we interact with the world? How do I interact with the world? That's a question for each of us to ask. What I do for myself and what I do encourage others to do, and this isn't an idea new to me, this comes from others. Excuse me. Invite the Holy Spirit in to your life. Invite the Holy Spirit in to your life with the trust that the light and joy and strength of the Holy Spirit, it can break through, it can break the stronghold of your own darkness, your own limitations. Each of us carry within us until we heal ourselves, until we go within and we discover the shadows and the darkness and the insecurities and the confusion and all the other corruptions that we pick up, until we go within to shine the light into the darkness, we don't know. It's like we have blinders on. And when we have blinders on to our own inner darkness, we'll find a lot of darkness in the world outside of us. It's a beautiful design that's been created. But the point I'm trying to get to and get out is there's hope. There is an answer. You have within yourself the ability to seek and to consume, to invite in the holiness. Actually, it's not even invited in. It's allow it to come forth, because the holiness is eternally present. There's a holy aspect of you that's waiting to come forth. There's the, I don't want to, sorry, these are new thoughts and new ideas that I'm drifting into, and the words aren't coming out smoothly. What I do know is that the power of God is true. Miracles happen. The miracle of love is just one aspect of life that should never be overlooked. It should be appreciated, received, shared. That's where I was going earlier. We can't share those things we've not received, but we can certainly seek to receive, seek to accept, seek to nurture and grow within ourselves peace, joy. Peace and joy, once we discover those within ourselves, we can share those, share peace and joy with others, because there's a lot of others today who are just like us, just like me, just like you. There's a lot of other people alive today. They haven't found peace. They haven't found joy. They found bitterness. They found rules. They found judgment, opinions. They found a paycheck. They found a plan. Oh, yeah, I forgot about this too. I mentioned earlier the world suffering that we all know about, the wars, the poverty, the famine, the refugee camps, all the health issues, the suicides, the crime, all of this stuff. The world's suffering comes from service to self, selfishness. Selfishness brings the darkness into the world. We're not here to be self-serving. We're not here to be self-centered. We are here to serve the world. We get to choose what we serve the world based on what we allow ourselves to receive. If you don't allow yourself to receive peace and joy, how in the hell are you going to share peace and joy? I never thought about that in my past, but this is something I truly practice in myself today. Peace and joy are our birthrights. That's why children come by it naturally. They're joyful, they're peaceful, they're until, they get shown reasons not to be peaceful, not to be joyful. in this life, the world we live in, the material or the conditioning of the school systems, the entertainment, the political climate, all of the economics, it's all a material focus. Everyone's focused on what can I get from the world? What can the world give me? All this material stuff, that's what's driving people insane. Because truly in life, it's not what we have in life, it's what we enjoy that constitutes abundance. Doesn't matter if you've got millions and and actually this is something I've heard too. I've heard that many of the powerful billionaire class, they're miserable. Absolutely, they're living miserable many, because they're focused on money, they're focused on the power, they're focused on all the problems. How can I outmaneuver this guy? How can I take this over? Constant battles, they don't bring us time for joy, they don't bring us time for peace. So it's not necessarily how much we have in this life that brings the joy, it's what we enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy what you have, you're poor. Doesn't matter how much you've got. If you lack joy, you're poor. You're poor in spirit. It's much, much better to live rich in spirit, rich in peace, rich in joy. That's the wealth that we truly want to know, to grow within ourselves so that we can share it in the world. You know, I'm curious. I'm very, very curious. I haven't been paying much attention to the chat. Thank you, R. Poll and Machine Lies. Thank you for dealing with what looks to be some kind of nonsense. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link. I'll take a chance. We'll see where this goes. I may not run for very long. I've been toying with this idea, and maybe later today I'll put out a poll or something. I'm curious if maybe I should end the openish panel opportunities, because it seems a lot of the conversations, in my opinion, they've been a distraction from my purpose. My purpose truly is to try to create a better world for myself, for those around me, for those who may join into my experience, even if it's temporarily. I hope to help create a better world. And the true goal, I know, is that as people join in my experience, we will find a way to bring peace to the world in greater ways. My number one goal here on earth, now that I've found within myself the reason for a reason for living. I found a reason for living after all of my other reasons disappeared. I got to reinvent myself. I got to start my life again. And it was pretty scary for me to do that, to let go of everything that I used to rely on. You know, I used to rely on my friends, my family, my job, people I knew. I used to rely on them for my comfort, for my reassurance, for my encouragement. Ooh, that's a word. I meant to look this up earlier because I was giving some thought to something I said recently about courage and encouragement. Encouragement, well, I didn't look it up. It has to do with the courage. We find the courage within ourselves through encouragement. And if the world isn't offering you encouragement, you might find a lack of courage, a lack of confidence on your own. But this is where a religious practice, a practice of faith, a spiritual practice can transform you. Because within you, as long as you have a healthy relationship with God, with the truth, as long as you have a healthy relationship with that which is true, I lost my thought there. Keep your focus, Jack. And I lost my thought. A lot of negativity and chaos seems to come regularly. You must be doing something right. Keep your focus, Jack. People listen to the goodness. Thank you, Philosopher 76. That is my trust and my hope. I trust that even though I may not in my near vicinity, I may not see the results. I trust that this is the right path for me. And Snafu, I've already seen you in the chat. You're not welcome here today. Okay. You're still playing your silly games, pretending like you've got a problem with me when I've done nothing to you. You know what? Actually, let me not be cold-blooded.
Why'd you just lie to the audience, Jack?
What's your accusation? What's the foundation of your accusation?
Well, you said that all the people that you left those people. My collection is they left you. You didn't leave those people. They all decided to leave you.
Hello.
So don't lie to the audience.
Hello. Your accusation.
Why? You didn't leave them. They all left you.
If you don't stop interrupting me, you're gone. Okay?
You're going to Nazi block me anyway. You're blasphemous.
Praise God. I pray that God brings some clarity and peace to that man. I pray that God brings clarity and peace to many in this world at this time. Brothers and sisters, what's happening in this world? Why are we playing these stupid games against each other? Snafu. Yeah, and his buddy Moose, too. Hey, I'm not sure where to take this. I'm actually inclined, maybe this should be the start of some shorter streams. Because I don't have a need anymore. This is something. Here, I'll share this because this is part of my development and such. My story's being shared here. In hindsight and reflection, I'm constantly looking at myself. Why am I doing the things I'm doing? I think I've continued these panels so much because I was selfish. I was seeking conversations. But my efforts to have conversations, they've been failing. People are bringing arguments and side conversations. So, I don't know. Hey, Machine Lives, welcome, brother. How are you today? Thank you for joining.
I'm having a great day, Brother Jack, but I warned beforehand that my microphone has been acting a little bit strange since yesterday. So there is that.
All right. It sounds just fine. No, it sounds good.
That's good to hear.
Hey, you are a man with beautiful perspectives. What would be your input from realizing your part in truth? And the concept, well, I guess actually I didn't go into that much more. Our part in truth. Some of the thought I was considering in that earlier is if we realize we are but a perspective of the truth, we are a small part of the truth, then we can realize that there is a greater truth beyond us. But if we can align our smaller truth with the greater truth, well, that's when we get to rest in that which is known, right? Hey, you're welcome to jump in. In the back is the sanity machine again. I've kind of lost interest in entertaining his nonsense. What are your thoughts?
Well, he's definitely an interesting character, similar to Tommy and the Snafu individuals. You know, they have a lot of moral sort of gripes against different behaviors, and they choose to express it in rather colorful ways, from what I've seen. So,
well, yes. Now, different than Snafu and Tommy, Stephen is much more duplicitous. He's much more manipulative, real sleazy, real snaky, in my opinion. These are true demonic forces that he perpetrates online, playing the judge and prosecutor against anyone who dares to come online. It seems I don't feel like entertaining him. No, yeah, Salty, you're one of those. You're another interesting character, an enabler of that sort of behavior. You've been cheering Paul and his arrogance on ever since I discovered him, and then I noticed hey, actually, Stephen, here's something. I tried to visit one of your streams, but you've got me blocked from the chat. So why would you even think you're welcome here, dude? I'm going to go ahead and kick you from the back. I'm done. He hasn't cupcaked. He's a user. Just like the demonic forces use people to attain their own entertainment, their own joy. They're selfish.
Well, I think there's some of that implication there in terms of the cupcake is it's a fanciful treat that offers little nutrition or something like that.
Okay, all right. Well, that applies.
They're metaphorical in a way.
Okay, all right. Offering offering forth the appearance of sweetness with no true value or nutrition with it. That does apply. I appreciate that. Holy cows. Along those lines, what we enjoy constitutes our abundance. I don't think people realize what they're doing when they're doing their entertainment keeping their self entertained. There's some people who enjoy some really disturbing things. I mean, Snafu just popped in the back again, and he's another one. He seems to enjoy being a disruption. He seems to enjoy being unpleasant to other human beings. What a miserable way to live. Can you imagine living like that? Finding joy out of being a douche? I mean, that's crazy. And yet this is what, holy cows, that's what politics is. Politics is people who find joy out of the appearance of control, out of the appearance of power. And this is where the amazing divinity, my perspective of God comes in. Our God is so amazing, dude. Truly. That's what's so mystifying. That's what's so challenging for people to accept, is that it's so mystifying. It's so unbelievable. Yet, when you set out to learn and you set out to know, and you're a well-read man, you know there's many, many thoughts on all of this. It's been forever. Sandy the Machine, you, there it is. You're not exposing anyone except yourself, you ignorant fool. And I try to be polite, but I think ignorant fool is a polite way of describing that clown Stephen, the character he shows online. He might be a nice guy if given the chance. I tried giving him a chance, though. No, I tried giving him a chance. And he showed me he's not a nice guy. He lacks moral foundations, lacks integrity. Uh-oh. Yeah, apparently you're on the list too. I don't know if you saw that. Okay. I'm sure that might keep you awake at night.
Well, I've had my share of I call it free promotion online. So like I appreciate the criticism. But
I find it fascinating, truly fascinating, that people have no regard for how they come across. Right? I'm thinking about myself in the past, right? Because anytime I find a judgment, I'm sharing this for anyone who's viewing, a practice I found for myself, and it just makes sense. Anytime I find a judgment on the world I'm experiencing, I look at myself. How am I in that way, or how was I in that way? I used to yell at people pretty regularly. And I guess I didn't really care about how I came across because I thought I was right. But hey, we've got another guest, someone who's been showing up here recently. Welcome back.
Sweet.
hey. Yeah,
Have
I've
you
seen
guys?
him before.
Okay. Have you guys
Yeah,
crossed paths before?
No,
Sorry.
no, but I've witnessed him on the previous episode. So yeah, I appreciate his contributions. Thank you.
Nice.
Yes. Welcome back, brother. How are you today?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm feeling blessed. You showed up earlier today and I was already talking about wrapping up. But, with you guys here, I'm going to roll with this. I'm going to flow a little bit. Thank you. Rainbow Records is what they call you.
Rainbow Records.
Rainbow Records. Well, you must be somebody who makes music.
Well, I do record reviews.
Oh, okay.
Today's Beach Boys Pet Sounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's original from '66. So
Yeah, I haven't heard that. Yeah.
in my peace journey, I like to bring people together with music.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's some of what I do too. I've made like 3 or 4 songs only so far, but yeah, I do appreciate music. you know, as it was said in that movie, I think it was Shawshank Redemption, you know, where he plays the opera music and then he gets in trouble for it, and he gets thrown in the hole, and then he
Yeah.
says, "What?" And then they asked him, "Why did you do it?" And he says, "Well, music shows you places that are not made of stone, you know, that actual places that you can go that are not made of stone and mortar, you know." And I think that is so true, you know, that music contains spaces, memories. You know, I've heard that they could take people out of their mental illness and out of their dementia by reminding them and playing music for them. And you know, if they have memories attached to that, you know, it can awake some of their most innermost memories and joys. So yeah, music is a beautiful gift, you know, for sure. You know, I had to argue, and you know, somebody was saying that music is haram, you know, in Islam, and I had to get in an argument with them because I'm a Muslim, you know. So I said, no, 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 that can't be. You know, the Muslims have produced musical instruments, you know, not only, but you know, also, you know, centuries of, you know, music. And you know, I'm from you know, India, and we have some of the most beautiful musical traditions, you know, in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, for sure. Yeah.
The Maharishi, the
Yeah.
sitar, and the rhythms, ancient
Yeah, they
rhythms.
definitely influenced the Beach Boys for sure, you know. Yeah.
You probably are more like a heavy metal guy.
Yeah, yeah, a little
Got
bit.
the John Karobi look going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to know you know, Jack's views on music, you know. Probably very much into the 70s music.
Well, actually, there's another YouTube channel I follow. It's not a real big one. The Elect of God, something like that. Young man, he was just talking about that today. How pay attention to the music. Music has an amazing power, right? But that amazing power has also been used against the population. You know,
Mm-hmm.
these songs about anger and murder and drugs and, you know, all the immorality, that stuff, the music, it really gets into our minds, and it can affect our energies. It can totally change how we are. I never really gave it much thought when I was younger. I was into the angry music, hard rock, heavy metal, and then angry rap. That was me, you know. Um, but the more I started looking into the science of sound, the science of energy, frequency, vibrations, the way it affects our actual physical being, our mental being, our emotional being, my music selection quickly changed. And a lot of healing sounds. Hours and hours healing sounds, frequency meditations, and it really does do something. So it's kind of off from where the conversation was, but
No, it's totally there. It's all there.
thank you. The other part, um, the other idea I had with that though is it's just the conceptual idea of what we consume consumes us,
Hmm.
right? Whether it's mental, physical, we become a part, we become unified with that which we consume, and we're consuming the environment, whether we realize it or not. And there's a lot of aspects to the environment that our body and our mind and our spirit are receiving at every moment. That can work both ways, right? The downside is if we're not paying attention, we can allow a lot of toxins and negativity and all this stuff to become a part of us. But the other part of that is that's a beauty. It's a beautiful aspect of the nature of how we are. If you want to have more joy in your life, notice the moment and ask yourself, what would make this better? You know, maybe it's some soft music in the back, maybe it's some aromatherapy, maybe it's whatever, right? We can always add to the moment to make it more joyful, more pleasant, more beautiful. And then that's how I've been living that way for a while. And it becomes kind of a game. How much joy can I bring into my day? And when you don't have the resources and the access to the worldly stuff, you get creative.
And that was kind of like when I found Zen. When I think of it, it's kind of like just a like dark, like a grass or something, and there's like mist or smoke, and it's just kind of clear. Okay, everything's good, and then it's like, okay, how can I enhance that? So as you said, those different things, it's just making things more joyful.
Yes. Sorry. I was dealing with the backstage.
Yeah, but what you were talking about is 100% on point, and I think that what we're dealing with is a problem of mediation. You know, as Shang Tzu says, nets are for birds. Once you've got the bird, you let go of the net. The trap is for the fox, and once you've got the trap set, you could let go of it, and the words are for meaning. And once you've got the meaning, you could really let go of the words. So this idea of the mediation, we don't have to pay attention to how the message is being delivered. If we could just pay attention to what the message is. A lot of times we pay attention to the wrong part of things, and I think that mediation, as they say, the median is the message, so a lot of times when we externalize truth, we lose it because we put the meaning of it outside of ourselves, so we think we're separate from the truth that we're witnessing. And then also we could make it transcendental, where we could go too much inside and then make the truth elevated beyond our consciousness so that it becomes something transcendental, and then it becomes a stepping stone to God, instead of just going right to the truth, not finding mediation between it, just getting right to the truth that's there and acting on it, and that's the real essence of truth is in action. And that goes with another thing, which is participation. The truth can only be found in participation, because nobody owns the truth. Knowledge is a possession. You can acquire knowledge. You can't acquire the truth. You know what I mean?
Ooh, I love that. And yet at the same time, I felt something inside, because I don't like that. But I totally get what you're saying. The truth stands alone, right? The truth doesn't need approval. It doesn't need acceptance. The truth is true regardless. And the truth comes from that which is. That's what I say. I believe God is that which is. And that which is reveals that which is true. So how do we fit into that? Do we reveal that which is true? Or do we reveal what we think is true? Right?
My part in the truth would be I have different gifts, so I have to use my gifts that I have. And so one of them is adding value to other people's channels by communicating and building my communication skills, and setting an example for other people. So that's why thank you for having these open panels for people to talk and to share ideas.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and that is a paradox of truth, that one can only find the truth in relation with others, because the truth has to be found through participation in it. But also, you can't justify truth based on what somebody else knows. You can only confirm the truth. See, when somebody says truth, you can only realize that truth if you already know what they know. So really all truth really comes from within. So not only is it a paradox because it's only found in relation through the participatory act, but it can only be found within. So again, truth is sort of magical and in that way.
This is why I call the truth God. I mean, in the end, the limits of our knowing is what limits our options. And the limits on our options is what controls our lives. The the truth coming through answers, coming through ideas, coming through life experiences, whether we realize it or not, the truth does. That is what governs our world. And oh shit. Except there's people that think they govern the world. And that's the game that's been created for us to overcome. Along what you're saying too, the truth is realized from within. It all comes from within. And I was considering the idea earlier about living truth and what is real, because what is real to another may not be real to me, right? It's all based on life experiences. So truly, what is true from us, it comes through our experience. We may experience a story from someone else that reminds us or confirms with us, and then that truth emerges. But it's all through life experience. And life is happening right now. So much of the world is caught up in their memories, and they let their memories take over now. As I said that, again, I'm reflecting on me. I guess I was guilty of that with Stephen. I allowed my memories of him to interrupt. Well, you know what? Fool me once, fool me a dozen times. I'm going to learn. I can't trust that guy. And until he shows me different, I don't want to.
And when you said that yesterday, I also did some reflection too, because sometimes I have a hard time forgiving people. And so what I did was I was given this family photo album book, and I would flip through it yesterday and did some reflection. And I was in the moment, and I was like calm, and I was able to reverse some of those patterns and to find a place where I can come from a place of forgiveness. So that definitely helped yesterday.
Dude, that is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great idea. An old family album or records of memories of the past. Going through those just to clear out the clutter, right? Making sure that there is peace, there is forgiveness, that there is no more unresolved issues. I love that idea.
And so, as Machine said too about the paradox, it's well, again, we talk about like the great mystery or the wonderful mystery, but we were both individuals and social beings at the same time. So it's kind of like seeing the three sides of the coin, and not maybe balancing, but integrating these different values into our lives and sharing them.
That's the key. It is the integration. Learning not just from our life experience, but learning from the life experiences of others. That was something I realized a long time ago. There's so much to learn in life, and there's so much to learn as a man, as a person, in order to function in society, without causing a lot of problems. There's a lot to learn. And none of us have the time in a lifetime to learn everything on our own. Mm-hmm. That's why we've got to learn from each other. And we get to learn from each other. It's even in our design. Some of the uh, sciences, they've, the studies in the brain, they've identified the functions of the mirror neurons,
Yes.
neurons that'll fire within our mind through the imagination, and it brings the experience into our being. And that's how we can model ourselves after others. We can imagine ourselves into becoming greater versions. We can pick up attributes from the people that we admire, and we can bring those ideas into us through the imagination and actually train our bodies that way. There's a lot of studies in that. I understand people have learned musical abilities, right? Being able to play instruments and stuff through imagination and the practice of modeling in their minds. I think music and some other things I'd heard about, but we're living at a unique time of history. I actually feel pretty blessed to be. I look forward to what the future is going to bring, though, because there's more and more people like us having conversations about consciousness, about God, about life, how to heal. All of these conversations, I believe they are becoming more common. I don't think it's just me, but I only know my own experience.
They're everywhere. We just don't see it yet. They're happening right now.
They are. I've wondered, though, if it is different than the way it was. Maybe there was always groups of people having these conversations, and I'm sure there was, but I'm just finding more and more and more of them. Not just online, but even when I go out, I hear people, at the coffee shop or the restaurant, I hear them talking about God openly, talking about, well, could just be my path too. I don't know.
It's where you choose to focus the attention. Eventually, you will find the things that you're looking for when you focus.
Brother, that is the truth. We have the ability within us, and I think the universe is created that way. It makes sense, and I can't think of the word. The omnipresent, all-powerful God, it creates this life for us to live how we want. And we have within ourselves the freedom of choice, the free will. We can choose to be true and pure and loving, or we can be corrupted and foolish and evil, whatever we want. Whatever we believe, we can achieve. And there's people who have believed they could achieve power and wealth and control and oppression, and they have.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Right. That's why it's interesting that we came to the conclusion earlier that we're not separate from the truth. The truth comes from within. But also, the truth is available, in terms of God and nature, in terms of that we're not separate from nature or God. But if we start to identify ourselves with nature, meaning that we can control nature, then we fall into problems, and if we try to identify ourselves with God, instead of showing that, God is all there is, but also that, we can't know God, in a sense that, that God is the totality of existence. So it's not that God is each separate part of existence, but that existence is in the shadow of the Creator. So that we can, realize that we're not separate from God, but that God is greater than, what we experience, and that God is more real than ourselves, in a sense, and that we're not separate from nature either. That's a great and deep truth.
Absolutely.
Facts.
That's precisely what I was trying to point out earlier too. God is. And we are a part of that which is. But the creator of that which is above that. So we can only see little aspects and little perspectives of that which is and God. We get our own little sliver, our own little slice, but the answers are there for us to seek. The answers are there for us to know. And I don't know, I don't claim to know how all of this works, from God's greatest perspective, but it does make sense to me that each of us, every single one of us, we're on our own individual path of spiritual, mental, and intellectual, physical development. We're all on our own individual paths with God. We don't have to accept that there's higher powers with us. Oh, man. But we get to. We don't have to accept the truth of God, but we get to. And what I've been practicing for myself, I don't even know the right words. It's just the way that Jesus was shown for us to live. Imagine yourself living that way with the love, the mercy, the compassion. That's how we're supposed to be. I mean, the rules, the natural law, the laws of order, they are there for us, for our health, for our success. And the truth I found for myself is this is a spiritual life, and each day, each moment, we can walk with the Spirit. So I identify spirits as emotions, right? I invite, welcome, Denizen.
Hey, Denizen.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I invite the spirit of comfort to walk with me. I invite the spirit of love to walk with me. When I'm feeling empty, which happens, right? I invite in the Spirit of Christ to join me, the heart of God to join me, and I invite God's presence with me, with the fullness of God, because the fullness of God within me will overcome any emptiness I have. It'll bust through any of the darkness, the strongholds of darkness and the strongholds of limitations I've got within myself. When I invite in the wholeness and the power of God, I feel whole. And that's how we're supposed to be. I mean, even from the Buddhic philosophies too, of the first, the foundations of suffering, they really come from the attachments and the desires that are unfulfilled. Well, if you invite in the wholeness of the Spirit to join you, you bring in the holiness, the Holy Spirit to join you, and you become whole. Well, then you have no needs. And if you have no needs, you can desire what you have. And as long as you desire what you have and you don't desire what you don't have, well, golly geez, you're abundant and you can share joy and peace and everything else. I don't know.
Well, it's
Hey.
like It's like you're saying, that those who are bound by desire see only the outward container. So the more we focus on a desire, obviously desire is the same as knowledge in a lot of ways, because as I said, knowledge functions the same way. It's a possession. Sure, it's a possession that nobody can take from you, but it's still something that you have to acquire. So it falls within the range. And then truth, is obviously infinite. Knowledge itself is infinite. So a truth is not only infinite, but it's also one. Because the truth has, it's all connected. It's within itself. It's complete unto itself. It doesn't need any external source of knowledge to justify or claim it. And knowledge, I say that truth organized is wisdom, but knowledge disorganized is information, right? In a way, so there's a lot of information and clutter, instead of real knowledge that people can use and relate to.
Yes, I love that. I don't remember the term you used, but disassembled knowledge is information. That's beautiful. And the idea of knowledge and desires being connected, I totally see that connection too, because if we don't have the knowledge of something, where would the desire come from? I mean, if we don't know that there's something beyond what we have, how would we desire beyond what we have? Hey, Richard Hawkins, I believe we have no disagreements. I believe the God I believe in transcends all religion. It is all that ever was and will ever be. Amen. And we are but grains of sand, and we are part of and not separate from. We are absolutely there. Hey, I heard Sleepy Joe step down today. I think it's time for us, the people, to make a move. I'm hoping I'll get there. Talcott, I'm praying that this year is my year. I truly am. Everything is in God's hands. That's what I understand. Hey, Denizen.
Yo.
If you had anything, feel free. You jumped up, and I think we've just been going on.
I was going to ask if I would be hijacking the panel if I brought up politics.
I don't think so. Go ahead, please.
So everyone has heard our fearless leader has decided to ride off into the sunset this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is it just he's withdrawing from the next candidacy, or is he actually resigning from the position?
So far, he's only withdrawn from the candidacy.
Okay. All right.
There's much speculation that the best thing for Kamala's campaign would be to make her president as soon as possible.
Is that what have they offered any replacement ideas yet? Is Kamala the one?
No, it looks like they're unifying behind Kamala. And of course, everybody forgets about RFK, who arguably is the only real Democrat in the race running as an independent.
I've got hope in him, but I still have a lot of things with him I'm not real comfortable about as well. Hey, we've got another friend to the stream.
Whoa, he's alive.
Man,
he's alive.
Retirement until it was the time of the Talcott, and now it is.
There we go. We're all on board here.
It is the time for the Talcott.
Congratulations, President-elect Talcott.
You know, I would certainly love to have an influence on that position, but I don't have any interest in doing the campaigning or the voting.
You just want to usurp of power.
Yes. Yes, that's
Which is
Same.
basically what all of us want for you as well.
Same.
Because I think if you have to go the normal vote route, you're going to have a harder time than if you just take it by force.
I agree. And I know there's a way to do it. Not by force, but with I don't know the right word. Perseverance, persistence.
Violence.
No. Hey, actually though, I mean, as that idea was being tossed around in there, I've already kind of been through that in my past. I served as an elected officer for 14 and a half years in my local. And I think when I started, our election cycle was every 2 years. And I think we might have changed it to 3 years during that time. But if I remember right, I think I was only voted for like once or twice in all those elections, because if there was an empty seat no one wanted to do, I'd volunteer to do it. And then once I took over the role of president, no one wanted it. They wanted me to do it.
There you go. You already have experience.
I do. And I tell you what, I didn't know what the hell I was doing back then. I was winging it like an MFer, man. But I have been studying and learning and developing. Leadership is actually pretty simple. Once you stop and think about it, all a good leader is a good person.
You have a challenger from my chat. Jack Squatch says, if you stop all wars, he will personally become a warlord. Just so there'll be at least one war.
You know, I'm sure there will be. I just no, because that's someone who hasn't thought it through.
It is possible for somebody to think it through and come to a different conclusion than you. No,
not when you use logic. Because if you think logic through, think about just the time spent between war.
You discover game theory.
Game theory. Oh, I'm very familiar with. Well, not very familiar. I have understanding.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. But just the simple aspect. I mean, this is from my experience. I lived with the patterns of conflicts and disagreements internally, which came out with a lot of conflicts and disagreements externally. And when I stopped fighting, I realized how much time I had. I got a lot more time in my life to learn and to live when I'm not focused on past arguments or future arguments. And that's the way the whole world could be. If people weren't so busy fighting for survival or fighting for supremacy, we could live with cooperation, cooperating with each other, cooperating with Earth, Mother Nature. And there are so many possibilities available for us today. Innovations in agriculture have been developed. There's so many opportunities for our world to drastically and rapidly change. And you know what? Now my mind went back to, I want to get to DC somehow. How do we get some true influence, some true leadership into that city? This is my dream, man. Walk into the arena. What's that? You guys remember the adage from Roosevelt about the
We
man
have
in
nothing. The man in the what?
the man in the arena?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is.
Nope, don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but I don't remember how it goes. I couldn't possibly paraphrase.
You have to be in the arena, right? Like that's the point.
Right.
It's there's the men in the arena, and then there's the people watching and spectating and speculating.
Here. The man in the arena. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Fucking love that quote. I had that hanging on the union board for a long time. Because it's not the critics, it's not those who are sitting in the bleachers, complaining or cheering on. They're not the ones who matter. The people who matter are the ones who are getting in the streets, getting it done, getting out there and making the work happen. That's what we all can be.
Dare to fail.
Often.
Do it young too. If you're a man, do it young and often.
That was a wise lesson I learned and heard way late in my life. I spent so many years afraid of failure.
Afraid of you now.
I know. I've been allowed to face all of my fears. This is what I mean.
Can you move me and Dennison? This is really just throwing off my equilibrium.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Thank you. That's much better.
That is better. Thank you. Yeah, no, this is what my life has brought me. And I've mentioned this. It was especially after I invested in that idea. Well, maybe I noticed the patterns after that, but I was allowed to discover fears I didn't know I had. Seriously. And that gift, it allowed me to overcome a lot of things. Right? And this is what I've been learning. Within every one of us, there is a leader. Maybe it hasn't had the experience, maybe it hasn't had the education, but there is a leader within us, whether we realize it or not. We're all leading ourselves through time based on the choices and the availability of what the world offers us.
But what if that leader is like Justin Trudeau? What if you have like an inner little Chinese Hitler in there?
There are many of those.
Word.
Well, hey, when my mind, Trudeau, as soon as I heard that name, my mind went to Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, because Trudeau is just one of those. He's one of the many, what are they called? The bought and paid for young emerging leaders, or whatever they call themselves.
So an actor,
global leader.
Yeah.
Acting for ugly people.
The people with wealth and power, they've had time and support, gathering the information and the data, looking at the world and trying to figure out how's the best way to bring control. And that young global leaders, they don't hide this stuff, right? The meetings in Davos, the Bohemian, the Bilderberg, the Bohemian Grove, the World Economic Forum, they're not hiding this stuff. It's whoops.
What does Chuck mean when he says fight the socialism? What is the socialism?
I don't know, but it's probably brown like this guy.
I'm not sure what it is, but it ain't Christian. Mm-hmm.
Can you highlight my last comment? I think it's the best one down there. Thank you.
Swim.
Still gargles cocks. Some
Swim?
things never change.
Oh, here.
Even Jack is sitting here cackling and laughing because he knows that his mod gargles cocks.
No, not at all. No, not at all. I'm not sure what Chuck means by fight the socialism, because I think if people really understood.
People really understand socialism. That's
They
a
really
common
don't.
Marxist trope, is to say that you don't understand Marx, but
Yeah, it's correct.
I've
never heard any critique of socialism that had anything to do with socialism on any of these panels.
Right.
because this is a pro-socialism panel, even though the panelists individually may not be so.
The DeFreak says it's social redistribution. So
Is
capitalism,
it just me, or is Denizen kind of crackly?
Oh, is it correctly? I'll be
Yeah,
back.
you're crackly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Please and thank you. Well, in looking at American history, I mean, and it's not just American history, you look at world history and look into how the American corporations supported many of the destructive forces in World War II, not just from our own allies and the destruction we created, but Henry Ford and many of these corporations, American corporations and bankers, funded atrocities. Welcome, Hank.
Hey, Hank.
Still crack-a-lacking?
No,
You're
that's better. Thank you.
Hank's in the danger zone, though.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
No,
get
you're in
Earl
a danger
Grey.
zone.
God damn it.
Oh, wow. He just declared it, and it was so.
No,
Wow. I fear Hank.
hey,
I knew it was a good idea to have you on my side, Hank.
there's a reason that I didn't teabag Hank. And
I
there's a
believe
reason I'm facing this way so that if I need to dive for it, I can fucking dive.
Good idea.
Holy cows. Hey, blessings to everyone. All of these ideas, socialism, communism, capitalism, every system in the past has been currency driven. And it's through the currency manipulation that the systems have been corrupted.
Facts.
So that's why I actually see there's so many ways. There is so many ways that America, through the power of legislation that's been traditionalized here in America, there are so many ways that America can become free of the international banking scheme. Because if you think about it, how did the Federal Reserve come into existence?
Socialism.
Power of the pen. How can you say socialism, dude? That is just absolute.
Because they took they took authority that had been given to it by Congress, and then they redistributed it to private entities for their own benefit.
So the word redistribute, that makes it socialist, by the way. If you
Basically.
didn't catch on.
See,
Now,
but
if a
they-
factory
what are you
owner
gonna teach us how to
redistributes
live
the wealth, that's fairness and
Mhm.
capitalism.
Well, capitalism is redistribution by seduction, and socialism is redistribution by coercion.
not
Oh,
always.
there's coercion all the time. So you can't get away from the coercion.
The coercion happens with, oh man, holy
Yes,
cow.
but capitalism is a kind of socialism, technically, according to Marx.
Well, there's
Bourgeoisie
a-
socialism.
Right.
Right. There's always socialism to the extent that you always have redistributions of wealth, but one is done voluntarily. I have to convince you
Negative.
to pay me $1. The other is done coercively. I demand you give me $1.
No, just survival itself is coercive in nature. So
Yeah.
it's an illusion. It's just an illusion to say
coercive.
capitalism. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's an illusion to say that capitalism is not
No,
coercive.
now what you're doing is you've
You've taken the coercion and you're hiding it behind your back, saying hey, trust me, there's no coercion, bro.
Yes, and you can tell that there's still coercion because of the lack of choices that exist that make sense that we should have. For example, new laptops with removable batteries. They don't want us to have the power. So
New laptops.
yeah, new laptops with batteries we can just take out. They don't want us to have that kind of power, so they just don't give us that option.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the most innocent form of market control that you can describe. You don't even have to get into, the kind of the cancerous effects of corporatism.
You're right. Socialism's cool. I give up.
Well,
Y'all deserve what you get. Jack Talcott
I would just
his nose and rubbing his hands through his hair.
I would just like to have an actual critique of actual socialism instead of it
What
just
is
being a
actual
thing that the
socialism?
government does that people don't like.
Actual socialism doesn't work outside of a family unit. There is no such thing as actual socialism outside of a family unit, is there?
Are you kidding? Of
Well, I'm
course
talking
there is.
about
because he used the phrase like he knows what actual socialism.
Yeah. So I would like to have an actual semantic conversation about the abstract meaning of socialism, which is public ownership over the means of production.
Semantic was the key word.
Yeah, that's the point.
These are simple concepts until you make them overly semantical, and then you can dissolve the meaning of all the words entirely, and nobody knows what the fuck anybody's talking about because words lose meaning. That's
the world we live in.
right.
So here's I'm just going to repeat it though, if you allow me, Jack. Public ownership over the means of production. So if you think that's an overcomplication to the point of misunderstanding, I yield.
Can we bring the semantics back to complification?
Well, here, just break down, look at the words. If you detach from the applications in the past, I mean, capitalism, the focus is on capital being the property and the material. Socialism being the interrelationships, right? Relationships is the social focus.
Jack, neither you nor I nor anybody listening is that simple.
But the truth is,
No,
the
it's
truth
not.
is that the truth is that simple.
The truth is hidden behind simple sounding tropes. What you're doing is you're troping.
Is that me or you?
That's you.
Interesting.
Well, if I could just interject with a few theories and explanations of these different theories, because see, you have in one sense you have a sort of libertarianism where there's no government regulations, right, on private industry, right? Then you have a form of idea where government can have limited access into private industry, meaning that they can regulate private industry. That is socialism, right? And then the control over the means of production, that's public. That's communism, right? That would be a communal distribution of the means of production, where people have ownership over their own labor. The operative terms are like labor, right, and industry and property, right? These are three things that are introduced by Locke and Marx, really, that have to do with those theories, right?
And then exploited by currency.
Yes.
Yeah, like I see, like if the world is going, like if humans are going to become a global species, we will separate currency from labor, and we will ultimately be globally socialist.
I missed some of that. If we
I did
separate
too.
currency from labor, is that what you said?
I see it's as an inevitability that we separate currency from labor,
I agree.
or we don't survive to be a type 1 civilization, one or the other.
Exactly.
What's the type 1?
Good news, Jack. Good news, Jack. Joe Biden riced out and dropped out of the race. So
That's why I showed up, because it's the time of the Talcott.
It's all coming together. It's
Like butt
all
cheeks.
coming together. Hey,
Sandwiches.
I see what you're saying too about the future of mankind. If we want to thrive, we can overcome the separations of the currency.
Where do I sign up for Sasquatch's war party?
It'll be a small group. You guys will be severely outnumbered, but you're welcome to oppose fairness and honesty. Because
fuck that shit.
I mean, here is the path for us to take whatever methods, right? Whatever methods, whether it's communism, socialism, capitalism, those versions of the past, they've been corrupted. Why? Because the illusions of authority have kept secrets. And let's face it, America today is a direct result of the propaganda, the Red Scare, you know, the anti-communism propaganda. In the early 1900s, workers, in the early 1900s here in America, workers, laborers, people just simply trying to earn a paycheck and to get some sort of safety and fairness into the workplace, they were murdered. You know, it was common practice for these company towns to hire their own police, and then the police would drag the organizers out of their homes. They would actually execute men and women who were trying to organize and create a 40-hour work week. You know, maybe some workplace safety ideas. Everything that has been everything that protects men and women in America, it has been fought for. Why has it been fought for? Because the masses have allowed a ruling class ever since the beginning of time. I think it's time for rulers to get the hell out of the way and for leaders to take over.
So that happened in the early 1900s until I think there was a sewing factory, a clothing factory in New York. And until it caught fire and there was different regulations that were being, they weren't being followed by the managers. It wasn't until the some of the union leaders in there got together and created a standardized form of workplace safety for to be put into the rest of America.
I can't remember the name of that event, but I know which one you're talking about. It was, if I remember the story, there was a bunch of seamstresses, and to increase the productivity, these women were like locked into the buildings, and there was a fire and a whole bunch of workers lost their lives. It's true tragedies.
They should have worked harder.
That's the slave mentality.
All right, so
that's what this world taught us, is the slave mentality. It never ended. I mean, it's I kind of think it's like the joke of mankind's history through the stories in the Bible, right? The chosen people were freed of slavery, and yet what do we have repeated throughout history? Kings and rulers and bosses, governors. This is insane. It is the truth that shall set us free. And when employees and consumers, all of us, we're all, to varying degrees, we are all employees and we are all consumers. When the employees and the consumers stop enabling the lies, the secrets will be exposed. And when the secrets are exposed, there is no reason for a CEO to make 300 times what one of the workers makes.
Of course there is.
Go 300
No.
times.
He's really earned it. He
Jeez.
runs that company so well. You wouldn't even have processors in your computers if it weren't for that guy making all that money, Jack. You wouldn't even be able to lie about him behind his back on this stream of yours.
Can we
The
just
internet
steal his
wouldn't
money
exist.
and do with it what we want?
Can we what? With money?
Just steal his money and do with it what we think is best?
His money.
Robin Hood theory.
Yeah. Can we steal that?
Where did all his money come from?
Probably
It was
slavery.
printed. It was printed. All money is a commodity. It's a tool that a monopolized organization, a banking industry, has monopolized this commodity and convinced the entire world we can't live without it.
Jack, how can I donate to you? It's a
Any way
trap
you want.
question.
No,
Any way you want.
yeah, I don't deny that we live in a world that costs money. And we do. I just been trying to figure out how to live without money. It's not been part of my life for a while.
These love banners don't come from nowhere.
Well, actually, this is actually a lesson I've learned in my life. Money comes and goes. I've had periods where I was just absolutely flush, you know. I could go buy whatever I wanted, and well, I mean, not extravagant, but I've certainly been times of abundance where money was not a concern for me. And then I've also
Those were the
learned
Chuck
how to-
years.
What's that?
Those were the Chuck years.
No. One of the most comfortable times was after I paid the fees and I did an early withdrawal on my retirement.
And then the tax bill hit.
No, it cost, well,
You
it
just
cost
were
me.
filing taxes.
Yeah, I actually haven't filed that in a few years because I assume there is some tax penalty for that early withdrawal. It cost me $60,000. I paid a $60,000 fine in order to do an early withdrawal on my retirement.
Dude, that's massive.
Yeah, it pissed me off, but it was an effort to try and keep this home. And so I did. I got it out of foreclosure the first time. And at that time, I was, I had the option. I could have paid this house off and it would have been mine, away from the bank. But instead of doing that, I chose to just pay the mortgage and kept money aside to try and build a brand, build a business. That wasn't my path yet. So I'm still trying to figure out where my path is going to bring me. But
how big was your retirement account? I mean, you can tell me to shut up if that's too personal, but like, that's a big ass penalty.
That's a year's salary.
It was 20%. It was a 20% penalty. So
300.
Yeah. That's roughly what it was. And I was actually on track I was putting away and mindful of, I didn't have a whole bunch of credit card debt. I wasn't living real extravagantly, and I had a decent income with the Postal Service. I was actually on track for a pretty comfortable future. But
Then you chose love.
yeah.
And you got us.
God damn it. Well, that is true. I did choose love. I chose love of others. And I chose to believe that I could make a difference, a greater difference than I had in the past. I still do believe that. I still do believe that there is sorry. Chat distracted me.
Chuck got you that quick.
No, remember me, it's Josh at Michael. I don't get that. I don't know.
Sounds like one of those old school last names, like Denizen of the Fjord.
I don't know. Hey, I don't know where my future is going to bring. I know that it's brought me to here. And something I was considering myself, my experiences, my results. And I realized my talk about ending wars and all of these crazy ideas, I think that's what actually pushes people away from me. It's hard for people to understand that without really trying to understand it. And I think, well, I don't think, I'm pretty damn confident that my exuberance at ending wars is what pushed people away from me.
Yes, but do you want those people around you anyways?
Well, the people in mind are the people at the Union Hall. They're the ones I was thinking about that with.
Their screams will be so satisfying as they burn to death.
The screams of the unbelievers.
Sorry. Yeah.
I think the world will become filled with believers very soon. Because, like I said earlier, I heard it pointed out by others. I think the Lord is pouring the Spirit out, the Spirit of truth, the Spirit of inspiration. There's many messengers. Many people are receiving prophecies. Many people are discovering greater dreams for themselves. And all of these dreams, all of these inspirations, they come from a greater power than us. And I think the way of the future, I'm becoming more and more optimistic that if this is real, I mean, if this is really like happening today and I'm not just somewhere else dreaming this day, we're a part of, we are, we're at the pinnacle. We're at a point here on Earth where this is the generation. I truly believe that we could be in this lifetime to experience the transformation of the entire world from the way that it was into something amazing. And the world is already pretty amazing. I mean, the world is completely connected through communication, through logistics. We're transporting everything, across the oceans where people are traveling, goods are traveling. There's no reason for the world to be at war with each other. There's no reason for neighbors to be fighting neighbors, for organizations to be fighting the people to be fighting the organizations. This is what I learned. Life is too short. If we don't pay attention, it passes us by so quickly. And if we're not careful, we'll miss out on some great things. I mean, I'm sharing that from my own humble experience. I made mistakes as a dad, still paying the consequences because I wasn't paying attention to what was right with me all the time.
And Jack, you said you're looking for intellectual conversations the other day, and here we go. We got it. We're building back up. I might have inspired you the other day. Keep making the live streams.
Yes. No, this has been fun. Oh, holy cows. I didn't even realize. We're coming up on 2 hours already. That might be a good point to shut it down, not to use that encouragement as the excuse or the reason, but
Another time.
yeah. I have enjoyed these conversations. It's so much more fun when it's not arguments. It really is.
Hank, I'm going swimming tomorrow, man. I made plans with my friend. We're going in the pool tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I went swimming on Friday. So.
That response stung.
Hank is beautiful.
Katie and I have been going swimming like every day.
We're making waves.
Maybe that's what I should do.
Go swimming, man. It's awesome.
It is hot as hell here today.
Yeah. See, it's not even that hot here. I was disappointed because I woke up like, this is how difficult my life is. I've been waking up at like the ass crack of afternoon every day and going, let's go swimming. And today she's like, it's not hot enough. Yesterday it wasn't very hot either. We tried anyways.
I don't think I've been swimming. I haven't swam this year, and I don't think I made it to the lake last year either. Might be a good idea.
Well, I'll let you go. Live without drawers. Thanks for having me up. Salute to the panel. Salute to the chat.
Salute.
Respect. Thanks for joining, Flo.
Peace.
Thanks for having me on today. And peace and love, and put on the Beach Boys.
Hey, respect.
Good vibrations.
That's right. Thank you, Dawson. Appreciate you too, man. Any others? Brownsboy? Denizen? Hank?
Yeah, I want to make a political announcement.
Please.
So the mere mention of RFK as a real Democrat earlier seemed to give the impression that I was somehow in favor of him. And I saw that the chat, both my chat and your chat, seemed to be quite disturbed by that. So I'm going to make a precedent here. This is the first time ever. Denizen X is going to endorse a candidate for president just to piss off the chat, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to endorse RFK for President of the United States of America 2024. Fuck all you haters.
Well,
God bless America. God bless Jack Talcott.
Hey, respect, Denizen. Thank you. Hey, actually, though, I don't know if I think she's still out there working. Marianne Williamson. Have you looked at her at all?
Yeah, I think I was for her until she kind of made an ass out of herself on the Jimmy Dore show, if I recall correctly. And then I was like, man, I don't know if I can take you seriously.
She's an interesting one. I learned of her. She's got a connection to I believe she's been an instructor with A Course in Miracles. And so it's a real spiritual perspective on the world. And I like a lot of the things she's saying. I don't know that she's a strong enough candidate to really be taken seriously. So it kind of comes down to, I don't know. Hey, we're living at a time, though.
Yeah, it's a very interesting time. The narrative is thick. I mean, they're going to write about this in the history books. I remember what it was now. It was the fact that she takes the war in Israel seriously. And she took kind of like a war hawk, classic Clinton type stance on it, which RFK is probably also guilty of as well. I mean, I can't think of a politician who is going to, just say we have no business in any of these wars. Trump kind of comes close with his rhetoric, but he's still not.
Right.
Yeah. And so is there anybody closer than Trump?
Well, I don't know. Let's see what we can do to influence all of the candidates, right? Let's see if we can get some conversations with them. That's what I want to do. I want to influence the people who are running. I've reached out to several of them. I reached out to RFK and someone on his team. I reached out to Marianne Williamson. I've been trying. I've shared my interest in speaking to Trump. I've shared that pretty openly. Who knows? Who knows what the future is going to bring? But thank you, Denizen. I think I'm going to start wrapping up. I'm going to give Machine Lies the last word, though, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Thank you, brother. Hank bounced out. I'm going to throw you Machine Lies.
Yes. I hope everyone can hear me just fine. And yeah, I've given 2 lengthy presentations on my show about Trump and his ties to the mob, his political background, and also the foundation of his political career, his ties to the QAnon movement, and some of the other, and also his ties to the Israeli intelligence. So I've given lots of different connections over 2 days of presentations on my show about that. Maybe a collected 3 or 4 hours of material there for you guys. But if anybody's interested. But yeah, I think we're living in a complex era, and there's lots of political strife. I'd like to read some of the ways that we can connect to what's true within this compass through the Tao Te Ching. It says that the greatest of rulers is but a shadowy presence. Next is a ruler who is loved and praised. Next is the one who is feared. Next is the one who is reviled. Those lacking in trust are not trusted, but the greatest rulers are cautious and honor words. When their task is done and work complete, their people all say, "This is how we are." So they make the people believe that they've completed the task themselves. This is why it says in chapter 66 that the sea is the king of 1,000 streams because it lies below them. That the true ruler leads from behind, and once the job is complete, he's out of the way, just like the people who complete the municipal work around the city. They offer a service, and they're honest, and then they remove themselves from the process. They let the people think that they've done it themselves, and they don't unveil themselves. The true power is not the one that displays its force. That is the one that is instituted by the power, most obviously. But yeah, power is not the same thing as control. Thank you so much, my brothers and sisters, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.
All right. Respect. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. I love some of those thoughts. The power is not necessarily control. Power, in my view, is influence. And a true leader doesn't control. A true leader influences in powerful ways. A true leader empowers those who they serve, because a true leader doesn't expect those they lead to serve them with the work and the answers. A true leader serves those they lead with everything they need to succeed. Brothers and sisters, it's time for our world to experience better leaders. And there's a better leader there's a better leader in the world within you. each of us can own our paths, own our futures, own our being in the present day for the future that we want. We can lead ourselves, and for those who want to join, lead them into a greater future as well. A true leader, I love what he said, a true leader will get the job done, have the people get the job done, and then gets out of the way. Brothers and sisters, when the truth is set free, when secrets are no longer legal, when lies are no longer enabled, the banking system will crumble. I mean, it won't crumble, it will be corrected. We won't put up with this nonsense of the manipulations of currencies, the oppression of workers. We're not going to stand for that with our neighbors. We're not going to let the neighbors be oppressed by some fool who's getting paid as a boss, making their lives miserable. We can start looking out for each other, start raising each other up, sharing the peace, sharing the joy of life with each other. Brothers and sisters, I encourage you, rest. Truly, allow yourself to rest in what is true about you. What is true about you is today, right now, and it's always right now. And the perspective I found on the divine force of creation, the God that is, God is. And we are experiencing ourselves, we're experiencing everything that is, and we are a part of all that is. So brothers and sisters, allow your part of all that is to become comfortable, to become joyful, to become peaceful, and then become generous with that joy, that peace, and the wisdom that we've gained. I'm going to wrap it up there. Brothers and sisters, sincerely, all the guests who joined, all the viewers and participants in the chat, whether in the present time or the later time, blessings and thank you sincerely. Enjoy, celebrate the rest of your day, and with love, maybe we'll return again tomorrow. By God's grace, it may happen. Till next time, choose love, peace for everyone, and live without fear. Thank you again, and God bless us all.